So the first thing I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you type it into your search box exactly as you see it. You don't need to add anything else to the link. Just type it in as you see it, and it'll prompt you to make a copy of the Google Slides activity deck that I'm going to have you use. So a little bit about what you're going to learn in my session. You're going to learn how to use Google Slides as a tech tool. You're going to create a new file, and you're going to add content to your file, to your slides. You're going to learn how to create background or locked images. That means that those are images embedded into the background of the slide that your students cannot manipulate, move around, or do anything to other than click and add content like text boxes. You're also going to learn how to insert images, text boxes, audio, movable icons, or clip art pieces, and two of my favorite add-ons that will save you so much time once you start creating your own activities. So why do I like to use Google Slides? Why not a different program? Well, I like using Google Slides because it works just like a PowerPoint document, which is something that I'm super familiar with, and I'm sure you are as well. I love that it's a collaborative tool, which means you can have more than one author, more than one person working on the slide deck. That means you and a teammate could be collaborating on an activity, or you can have students working together to complete a task. You can create engaging activities that your students will be able to do from home, from school, from anywhere. You can customize the slides, and I'm going to show you your slide deck has a ton of options that can help you customize the templates that you create. I also love that you can create reusable templates like the one I created on the left. It's just a basic instructional slide that tells the students what they're going to work on, how much time they have, what materials they need. You can even add different icons. I switch out the different icons depending on the activity and the instructions. You can even add a timer slide or anything like that to help your students stay on task. So once you've mastered what I'm going to show you today, you will be creating activities just like this, or templates just like the one shown there. You're going to be well on your way to being such a techie teacher. So let's go ahead and get started because we have a lot to do. So once you've clicked the bit.ly link, it'll take you to your slide deck, and it'll look just like the one you see in front. Mine says Master. I always title mine a little bit different. Yours should just say Copy of Google Slides Activities 2.0. You'll see that there are 3 slides that we're going to work on today. All about the moon, understanding it, the comprehension activity, and a labeling activity. I'm going to show you how to insert all of the text, the icons, the charts, all of that good stuff today. So let's go ahead and get started with what is included in your slide deck. Besides the 3 examples that we're going to work on today, you'll see that there is a rainbow slide deck with some backgrounds. They look like little index cards. There are some rectangles, circles, question boxes, squares, and arrows. These pieces are movable pieces. That means that you can copy and paste them onto these master slides and start creating content just like the one you see here. The first slide, I've just typed in a title at the top. I've added some bulleted text here to the left. I inserted an image, and I'm going to show you how to do that from the internet. I added some cool clip art that I'm going to link to some audio. I inserted a table here and just labeled it. And then I added some really cool clip art, some background. You'll see that the clip art is, let me ungroup this. The clip art is separate from the little blue piece in the background. So I just added a little blue shape in the back to give this clip art a little bit more pizzazz or depth. So I'm going to show you how to do all of that today. So the first thing you're going to need is to pick out the black slide. You're going to make a copy of it. So once you've made a copy of your background images, you'll see that these are locked. You can't do anything other than add content to your slide. And I wanted to start out that way just to make it a lot easier on you. Once you get used to creating your own background images, you can change around the background. You don't have to necessarily just use the same template for everything. I just thought it'd be easy for today. So I'm going to go ahead and move my copy up here. So I'm going to be referring to my example over and over again, and I want to be able to see it clearly. So once you've made a copy of the black background slide and you've moved it to the top so that you can refer to the example, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a title to this. You're going to go to text box, and we're going to title it All About the moon. And you'll see that my text is black. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the A here, and I'm going to change it to white. I really like these fonts here that you'll see. I love to use Century Gothic, Oswald, and Avenir. Those are my 3 go-to fonts. You'll see them in a lot of the stuff that I create. But we're going to go with Oswald. I just love the way it looks. It's nice and bold. You can increase the size here. Let's try 70 and see how that fits. That fits great. And I want it all caps, so I'm going to retype it in all caps. All about the moon. All right. So once you've created your title, I'm going to go to here and adjust the alignment of it. I'm going to align it. And we've created our title. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add text box. If you look over at the example, I had bulleted text to the side. That's where your activity can go, a reading passage, images, anything you add. I wanted to just add bulleted text, so I'm going to go ahead and add here. And I'm going to go to the numbered or bulleted list here, and I'm going to say moon fact number 1, moon fact number 2, and of course you're going to be much more thorough than I am. Moon fact number 3. And I'm going to go ahead, whoops, let's go back. I'm going to go ahead and change the font. I like Century Gothic. It's just a really clean font. I'm going to increase the size. I can also change the line spacing, so I can make it just different sizes. I can do like a double space, any of that stuff here, okay? And my text box, let's just add one more fact. Moon fact number 4. Okay, so let's say you had facts about the moon or a reading passage or informational text. You're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and add the image of the moon. To add an image from the internet, all you have to do, if you have it on your computer, you can just insert it from your drive or from your desktop. But I'm going to go ahead and teach you how to do it from the internet. So I'm going to go to Insert Image, Insert Image, and I'm going to search the web. And I'm going to go ahead and search for moon. And there's an image right there. That looks perfect. I'm going to insert it. And I'm going to resize it. That means I'm going to make it fit this slide area. I don't want it to be too big. I want it to be able to fit so that I can add the table. So I'm going to stretch it out and center it. I'm going to go ahead and move my text over here as well. Perfect. So now we've added an image just like we did in our example. So let's go ahead and refer back to it. What's another thing that we can add? I'm going to go ahead and add this chart, which is going to be 4 by 2. So let's add a table. Insert table, and we're going to make it a 4 by 2. I'm going to resize this. Got to be careful so we don't move other things in the background. And I'm going to move up my image. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Now, you might be wondering, well, Eris, you have one solid title box. Like, it's not split into 4 and 4 on both sides. And I'm going to show you how I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the very first box. I'm going to right click, and I am going to type or click on Merge Cells. That means I want to make them one. So now I have the space for my title and all of my information. But as you can see, it's kind of hard to see. It's a very light gray color. So I'm going to change the color just by clicking on the actual table, going to the little pencil. I'm going to make it dark. And I don't think it highlighted everything. So I'm going to make sure I highlight the entire thing. There you go. And I'm going to change the thickness, the border weight, which means I'm going to make it a little bit thicker so it really pops. So there. Now I have my table. And we titled it Moon Quick Facts. So let's go ahead and title it here. Moon, and I'm gonna use my favorite fonts. Let's go to Oswald. Moon Quick Facts. I'm going to center it. So I center it there and center it here. I think the first, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm typing in the correct font that I want, Century Gothic. The first slide site length of day. Is that correct? I'm going to refer back to it. Length of day, average temperature. And distance from Earth. Okay. Distance, whoops, from Earth. And I see that not all of my text was Century Gothic, so I'm going to highlight it and do that. All right, and I'm not going to need it to be so wide, so I'm going to resize my table, and it keeps everything pretty even. So I'm going to move it a little bit over here. So there you go. Let's go look at our example. Yep, looks pretty good. You can make your title bigger. You can change the font. You don't always have to use the same fonts I do. I am just a big fan of these Google fonts. They just look really clean. They're easy to read for students. They're not fancy. They're not really difficult for them to read. They're just clean fonts. So what's another thing we're going to add? Let's see. We're going to add this icon. Okay, so to add the icon, we are going to need to add one of the two add-ons that I mentioned earlier. So you're going to go to add-ons, and you'll see that mine are already here. It's called icons for slides. So you're going to go to get add-ons. So we're going to type in flat icon. Whoops. And you'll see it here. It says icons for slides and docs. So you're going to click on it, and for me it says uninstall because I've already installed it, but it should say install for yourself. It works on Google Docs, Slides, Sheets, and Forms. I love using these. So once you've clicked install, you should be able to have access to it. You might need to refresh your page. So once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and add this little movie player here because we're going to link a video later. So we're going to go to add-ons, and this is how you access these icons all the time. It's going to be titled Icons for Slides and Docs. We're going to click Start. You'll see it's called Flat Icon. And it keeps a running record of some of the last inserted icons, which is really neat. If you use one over and over again, it'll be there for you to use. And you can see that it did not keep the one I used. So we're going to search video. And you'll see that some have this little crown. That means those are not free icons, but anything without that crown means that they're free. So you can also filter. We're going to do just black and white. Okay. And let's see if we can find something pretty similar. Oh, there it is. So the video camera, and it lets you insert it in multiple colors. We're going to do it in black. Don't need to really worry about the size. And we're going to insert it, and voila, it's on our slide deck now. Super easy, and it's free clip art, so you don't have to go purchasing extra clip art. You can use these for any type of tech activity. They're really cool. So here is the icon that I added. You'll see that in the example slide, when I go back, it has like a blue background, and you might wonder, well, how did you do that? Super easy. We're going to go to Insert, or you can actually just go to Shape here. Insert the shape, and I believe the shape I used was this guy right here, the rounded rectangle. And I'm just going to do that. We're going to change the shape, or not the shape, the color. And you'll see that I've added the custom colors that match all the rainbow slides I gave you. That way everything is coordinated. I don't want it to have a border, so we're going to click transparent. And here it is. It's this little itty bitty shape. So here you have your shape, and you're going to reorder it. That means you're going to send one thing to the back and one thing to the front, because we don't want to block our image. So I'm going to right click on this video, and I'm going to go to Arrange and order it. I'm going to bring the video clip art to the front, so that way the color is in the background. There you go. The next thing we're going to do is to add text. It says click to watch video here. We're going to add that text over here. We're just going to say click to watch video here. We're going to center it and align it. Of course, I'm going to use a bold font. Make it nice and large so students know where to click. Now let's go ahead and go to the second slide example, the understand it. You'll see here that I added a title, I added an icon from flat icon, I added some text with information, and then I added a question. And these here are the shapes. I've just resized them. They're these shapes here from your slide deck. So let's go ahead and work on the second slide, the understand it slide. So once again, I'm going to use my black background slide deck. I'm going to paste it here, and let's go ahead and start typing in our title. So I typed in my title. I'm going to add this little light bulb here from flat icon. So I'm going to go to add-ons, icons, start. It has my light bulb here that I've worked with. You can just search idea or light bulb. I'm going to insert it as white. And there you go. You can resize it. You can do lots of different things. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our directions. So you are going to type in a text box that says, remember what you've learned about this topic, or answer the questions below. The next thing we have to do is add these blue rectangles. So go ahead and add your blue rectangles and number each one with the text box 1, 2, and 3. And that space is for your students to type in. My students know when they see a color text box, that is where they're going to fill in their answer. You're going to type in number 1, and then a question is going to go over here. There you go. And the first question was, let's go to our example. How is the moon different from the sun? So we're going to go ahead and type that in here. You can change the font. You can change the question. How is the moon You'll see that I needed to stretch out the text box so it fits all the text. You would do that for each one, and then your students would type in below. One thing you can do is if your students need extra support and help with reading questions aloud, I'm going to show you how to record yourself and then add it as a little clickable audio link here. So one website you're going to go to is vocaroo.com, and it's free. So you would just record yourself with whatever it is you want to have on your slide. Let's say it was a reading passage, or in our case, it's the question. So we're going to ask the question, how is the moon different from the sun? So let's go ahead and record it. How is the moon different from the sun? Type your answer below. So we just spoke into the recording box. We're going to save it. So I'm going to go ahead and download it to my desktop. And then I'm going to use it in my final slide. I don't want to link it here because this is my teacher version. This is the one with the movable text and pieces. I'm going to create a background image of this that my students are going to type into, and that's going to be the one that I'm going to link the icon with. But I'm going to go ahead and add one more thing to this so that it's ready. We're going to insert another icon where students can click and listen to the audio. So this one here, I'm going to insert it to my slide. So this is where that audio link is going to go. So I'm going to resize this little link, and I'm going to put it right next to the number 1 so that my students know if they're having any difficulty, they can listen to me ask the question, which is key for students who need those additional, that additional support in the classroom. And you can do that with any of the questions with the directions. If you had a reading passage about the moon, that would be great to have it there for those students who need it. So we're not going to link our audio file that I saved onto my desktop just yet. We're going to do that at the very end. The next slide, so we're going to hold off on that step, but we're going to come back to it. The next activity that we're going to create is this label it activity. So what are we going to do? We're going to get our black background slide. We're going to add a title. We are going to add our instructional text box that shows them what they're going to do with this. And then I'm going to add that little image. You don't have to add all these icons and images. They're just fun to add. And it's good practice for you. So go ahead, and in the next slide, you're going to create the label it title. you're going to add an arrow icon using the add-on icons, and you're going to add this informational text box. Go ahead and start. Okay, so now that you've added those things here, it should look just like this. It should look like a blank one. We're going to go ahead and add an image, and I've had this image on my desktop. You're going to see it in one of your examples, but I had this image of the different phases of the moon. I've been working on that, so I found this free clip art. I'm going to insert it. So let's pretend you also had a phases of the moon image on your desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and insert it from my computer. You'll see that my desktop has it right here, moon phases. And I'm going to go ahead and resize it. You can insert any image of phases of the moon if you can find it on the internet, and then practice with me. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to leave enough space because my students are going to add text boxes. So this is going to be my final slide. The one where the students are going to add the text box is the very final one. So that's all we need to do for this slide. We're going to add the text boxes where students are going to fill it in at the very end. So we've created all of these great examples. So the next add-on that I want you to add is called the Slides Toolbox. So we're going to go to Get Add-on. You're going to search Slides Toolbox. There it is. It's already installed, but you're going to click Install, refresh your page, and then let's go ahead and get started on using it. Now, what that add-on does is it does the really hard work for you. And I'm going to show you the long way versus the add-on way. So we created this image in our practice here today. To save it as a locked image that your students are only going to be able to type in and click on, we have to save it as an image. So I would click on File, Download as a PNG image, a ping. And it saved it onto my desktop. You can see here when I click on it. So once I've opened it, you can see that it's an image. There's nothing I can move. I can't click anything. I can't move the text. Everything is a still image, and that's what we want to give the students in their version. So to make a student version, I'm going to go ahead and go File, New, Presentation. I'm going to change the size of the slide because this one is a different dimension, different slide. Let's go to File, Page Setup. It's not widescreen. We're going to custom it to 11 by 8.5, and it just makes it a much easier size to work with if you're ever printing anything or students are printing anything. It's just a better size. So we're going to go ahead and click on this blank slide. We're going to take away all those text boxes. We're going to title it Student Version, so we know that this is a student one. And then you're going to right click that slide and go to Change Background. We're going to choose an image. We're going to upload that image we saved. Do you remember the one we made of our slide background? This one. And done. And so now this is a stagnant image. It's a background image that we cannot move around. The only thing we can do is add text to it. This is where we're going to link that video. So we can go ahead and go to Insert, Video. If you have that video from YouTube on the moon phases, you can add it there. If you want to hyperlink it to an invisible shape, you can do that there as well. But this is a student version, so you are going to want to have whatever it is that they're going to click on needs to be on this version here. You can also help your students out and you can resize it. You can also help your students out by having text boxes already in the presentation so that they can just type here and you can center everything so it's ready to go for them. I like to make it as easy as possible for my students, so I usually have the text boxes filled for them at the very beginning. Later on throughout the year, they will become experts at this, so you don't need to scaffold it that much for them. They can go ahead and add the text box themselves. But do you see, it took a little bit of time to add the background, add whatever I needed to do, all of that good stuff. I'm going to show you the shortcut way. So with the add-on that I had you, the second one I had you add, it was called Slides Toolbox. We're going to open this. And you're going to go back to your teacher version, not the student version. So you're going to go to Add-ons, Slide Toolbox, Open, and we're going to use it in two different ways. The first way is we're going to export these images. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of my images that I'm going to need. I'm not going to need any of these here. So I'm going to unclick these because these are just my templates. It doesn't need to make a background image of all of these, right? Let's go ahead and go to Add-ons, Slides Toolbox, Open. We're going to work with two components, the export and import. We're going to work with export first. It's going to save all of those highlighted slides to the left as a image, as a PNG image. And I prefer that over JPEGs because they're just better quality. So now it saved everything to my drive because I had this checked here. I'm going to go ahead and check, and my drive has a zip file. When I open the zip file, it has all of those slide images ready to go for me. So I'm going to go ahead and you can download those to your desktop. You can leave them in your drive, whatever it is that you'd like. So now I'm going to go back to my presentation. I'm going to go to the import tool. So I'm going to go ahead and go to import. Let's go to our student version. And I showed you how to do it manually here, but we're going to do it using the add-on. Go to Slide Toolbox again. We're going to go to Import, Create Slides from Images. We're going to use them as background, a single image per slide. I have them on my drive, so if you look closely, it's these three here, right? So I'm going to click on all of those, select, and boom, it inserted all of my images. There's nothing left for me to do. Everything is ready to go. So the one thing left for us to do is to add the directions. We recorded ourselves reading the directions on this Understand It Comprehension slide. So we're going to go ahead and add it. I saved the audio to my drive. You're going to need to do that. Once it's uploaded to your drive from your desktop, you'll see it here. I'm going to go ahead and go to the student version, Insert, Audio, click on it here and select. You'll see that it has its own little icon. I like to go ahead and put it right over that in case it gets deleted. The students know there should have been audio that they need to listen to. And then the students can play it. You can stop it on slide change. It could start playing automatically or on click. You can change the volume, the position, all of that good stuff, the color of the icon. But I love that students have that option here, so they can go ahead and click it and know, hey, there's audio for me to listen to. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I listen to that before moving further on into my slideshow. And that's it. We've inserted videos, we've inserted audio. So now the last part is the labeling activity. We need to add text boxes for the students to be able to drag and drop or to label the different phases of the moon. So you can just add a text box here, and since it's a white background, I'm going to want to make it a black text box. You can change the size of it. You could even use any of the colorful slides. You can use any of these guys on the student version as well. But you would go ahead and say type moon phase here. You would center it, make it as easy as possible for your students to navigate. You can resize each text box so it fits right next to that image. So all the students are doing is adding text to the slide. A different way to use this activity would be to have all the different moon phases listed to the right, and they would drag and drop to an empty box. So instead of having type here, they could have, let's say this was an activity you're going to have on this side, like I mentioned. Let's say full moon. If it was listed here along with the other phases of the moon, they can go ahead and drag and drop and add it on top or where it belongs. So you can do like a matching or sorting activity that the students can do. So either way, this is a fun and engaging activity for your kids to work on. It has information, it has a comprehension activity, and a labeling or sorting activity. And that's it, guys. It's as easy as using the templates, inserting text, images, audio, all of that good stuff.